I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Susquehanna Township Board of Commissioners. I would note that all commissioners are present and accounted for. I would note that the board did meet in executive session to discuss matters permitted by law, including personnel, litigation, and real estate. All three were covered. We'll start with a Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence, and I'd ask the pledge tonight to be led by Commissioner Rabarchak.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody, to this meeting of the Susquehanna Township Board of Commissioners. First up on the agenda is a special award we look forward to every year, and it's very special every year. And I'd like to welcome Dan Fuller to the podium, along with Public Safety Director and Chief Rob Martin.
Good evening. Thank you, commissioners, for putting us on the calendar a little bit for us. We too, at the Rotary Club, look forward to this opportunity every year. This is our third officer that we've had the pleasure and humbly honor to get to meet and know, learn a little bit about. As a 25-year township resident, and individuals worked in the township most of that time, I know we have a great deal of pride in our police force and those that serve our community. This award has given us a pleasure of really getting to know a couple of individuals over the year, and I can honestly say that it just makes me even more proud to be a resident of Susquehanna Township when you get to meet the folks that are out there protecting and serving in our community. This year it has been raised the bar again. Every time I think we can't get any better, we do. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Chief Martin for a moment to introduce our award winner.
Thank you, sir. And I just want to say thank you to the Rotary Club for what they've been doing to honor our officers. And I could take a lot of time, but I'm just going to give a quote that I heard recently about my profession. The men and women of my profession made a decision to enter an honorable profession so that they could put themselves in the right place at the right time to save lives and make a difference for their community and their country. And that's what we do every day, 24 hours a day. And that's what these officers of our department that we're blessed to have do every day. They've made a decision to put themselves at the right place in the right time to save lives and make a difference in the people they serve. And that's what this award is all about. So having said that, I want to invite Patrol Officer Julio Ferrafino up. He was presented with this. We're taking it back. He was presented at the Rotary Club meeting, so we're taking it back momentarily to represent it. But commissioners, listen, a police department is like any sports team. Someone that gets honored with MVP or whatever honor it would be is certainly going to say they didn't get there without their teammates, and that it's a team effort. And that's true of this police department. That's true of Officer Ferrafino, and he's joined here today by his platoon. They just got off of their day shift from 7A to 7P. Sergeant Reber, Patrol Officer First Class Wilson, new officer, probationary patrolman David Yannick, who actually received an award tonight in roll call, and Patrol Officer Calvin Vanderpool. So we're blessed to have them. It is a team effort. Iron sharpens iron, and we make each other better. And this award is representative of everything all of our officers do, but in specific for 2017, it's representative of what this man has done for our community. And whether he's worked Patrol Beat 1 in the Uptown area or Patrol Beat 3 out south of 81, he has made a difference. Everybody knows Officer Ferrafino. He has grasped what we've put out as what makes and builds our police department from not only a community policing perspective, but crime prevention and arresting criminal offenders. That's what he does every day. He's made a difference, and he's got a varied personal history that we're going to let him talk about briefly. But everybody knows Julio loves him. I love him. And I want to thank him publicly for his leadership as a beat officer. You know, the most important rank on any police department is patrol officer. They're out there 24 hours a day. These guys in this room made a lot more decisions today than I had to make. That's just the way this profession's built. And this guy represents us in just an outstanding fashion. So, Officer Ferrafino, joined here by his family and his little ones, we commend you and we present you with Susquehanna Township Police Officer of the Year for 2017 from the Susquehanna Township Rotary Club.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Last time I took it back to 1986. I'm not going to do that tonight. It's not enough time, but I would really appreciate and say thank you to everybody in this room, my teammates back here, and my sergeant, Rotary Club. Thank you very much, and the chief for allowing me to do what I like and allowing me to fulfill my passion. And I really do appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrolman, and thank you,
Thank you
Dan,
very much.
and please thank your fellow Rotarians. It's a great service, it's a great honor, and
Thank you.
we really do look forward to it every year.
Appreciate the more that we can do with our community, and I'll give you the quick advertisement. Thursday mornings, 8 o'clock. Justin can get you directions. We've gotten him there a couple times. But come on out and check out what we're doing.
Will do.
We have a new president. The best job in Rotary is immediate past president. I'm enjoying that right now. Kathy McCool, who's a business manager at a school district, is our club president. Got tied up at the district tonight and couldn't make it, but hopefully you'll be seeing her around here too. So thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Mr. President, can I say something very quickly?
Absolutely.
I just want to thank publicly Officer Ferrafino and Officer Yannick. We had a little neighborhood community get-together that we do every year on my street, and they were kind enough to stop by. And, we really enjoyed your presence. We were honored, quite frankly, that you stopped by to say hello to myself and my neighbors, and everyone thought it was wonderful, the kids, my neighbors, and so thank you for taking the time to do that. Thank you both.
Sir, appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody, come on.
Congratulations.
Okay. Okay, moving on to petitions, complaints, suggestions. Anybody have anything they'd like to say to the board tonight?
I see someone in the front row here that wants to.
Yeah. Shadow.
Oh, he's so cute.
Okay. Moving on to minutes. August 10th, 2017, regular meeting. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second.
It's been seconded. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And our August 24th workshop meeting out in the garage.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, reports of committees. Buildings and Grounds, Commissioner Rothrock.
We had a meeting, we're going to talk about this contract for repairs to the building here due to a leak of the sewer.
Right.
We had 2 bids and we went with the lower bid. We also spent some time talking about a remake, a remodeling of this building. We discussed things like putting a central entry hallway between the 2 sections, The chief expressed concerns about security, and we talked quite extensively about, how to do that in the design, sort of at a preliminary way with the folks that are doing the design for us, which is, I forget the name of the firm, sorry. But
It's on the tip of my tongue, too.
we had a pretty productive meeting, I think.
Good, good. And when do you expect to come back with plans or ideas? And
That I'm
I
not
know the
sure.
process is going
Dave,
on.
Do you know that?
Yeah, I know, I don't have a definitive timeframe at this point. I would anticipate by the end of the year, there would be some work product. I know there was some interface with Kimmel Bogret, who's the architect,
That's it.
with HRG in terms of getting some CAD drawings for the existing structure and the existing site layout and so forth. So I would expect at some point here in the fall, late fall, we should see something.
Well, I definitely I have some recommendations that I would like to see, so I hope we get an email
Sure.
asking for our suggestions.
Sure. No, I'd
Okay.
be happy to. Yep.
I want a massaging chair here. I'm kidding. Kidding.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Budget and Finance, Commissioner Sanderson?
Yes, as I mentioned last month, we'll be meeting next week. We're scheduled for Wednesday, and unless that changes, if you have any suggestions or topics that you'd like the Budget and Finance Committee to include in preliminary budget discussions, please send them to the Township Manager, and we'll get this done in the normal course. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Highways, Commissioner Napper?
Yes, Mr. President, the Public Works report for the month of August. The Public Works Department installed new signs, repaired damaged signs and street lines paintings, as well as patching potholes, installing and repairing new inlets, and cleaned out storm drains. And as a final note, Mr. President, roadside grass mowing along the sides of the roads and lots and parts in the township continues. This ends my report. We've
Thank
switched names now, sir.
Is it Public Works now?
Yes.
Okay.
Now that we have a joint and a new director on board.
Yes. Very
Speaking
good.
of,
Yes.
have we introduced our new director to the people?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've been introduced, haven't you, Mr. Spriggs?
Several times.
We're just so proud.
My memory's failing me.
Nate, I don't know if you want to take an opportunity to maybe talk, just again, for purposes of the audience, some of the changes you've implemented as it relates to street sweeping. I don't know if you want to come up maybe and also brief the commissioners. That would be.
Sorry, I'm not dressed. I wasn't expecting to speak. What we did is we implemented several changes in the Public Works Department, one of which is a street sweeping schedule. And the way that schedule is designed is to sweep every area every single week. So the day that your trash is collected, we sweep your area the following day.
Good idea.
I'm sorry?
Said that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what you hired me for, right? And the way it's set up is that we sweep the odd number of streets one week, the even number of streets another week. We do that in case we're ever down a sweeper, we can still continue our operation. And no one, and everyone's receiving throughout the township, every ward's receiving equal and fair treatment. And one of the challenges I had is I would receive a lot of calls saying they're only doing the wealthiest sections of Susquehanna Township. So we implemented a change, and it's designed to sweep every area in the township equally. It doesn't matter where you live. So that's one of the changes. We're working on a few more. The township manager's been very, very supportive of some of the changes, as well as the board, and I appreciate you and thank you for that. But that's just one of the changes, and there's more to come.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
Thank you.
President, if I may.
Commissioner?
Thank you very much for the changes you've implemented. It really helps in the uptown area because we have a lot of on-street parking there. So residents had a lot of complaints about the fact that it wouldn't be posted when the streets were swept, so their street wouldn't get swept near their home if cars were there. So now, just to be clear and repeat it so folks can know this, so if you live on the odd side of the street, one week if it's an odd week of the month, your street will be swept the day after trash collection?
No, ma'am.
I'm sorry, so I don't understand.
Right, to make it clear, you were close. We're sweeping every area every week. So say like your address is 1524, we'll sweep that side of the street, the odd number addresses, 1 week. The very next week, we'll sweep the even side addresses on the same street. It's going to
Okay.
occur the day after your trash is collected,
Right.
in case there's any runoff or waste on the street that was left by the trash collection process. So
Okay.
we'll sweep the street. If one of my sweepers is in the area and they notice that there's debris on the street, even if that's not the week that street's supposed to be swept, they'll still swing by and sweep it. So it's been posted on the website now for a month, a little over a month.
Probably about a month at this
About a month.
point. But
So the weeks, the odd numbers, it's listed as odd and even street
Okay.
sweeping days.
All right.
The leaf collection is up now, or should be up the cycle, which will probably change next year as well. But we will give you an advance notice as to what we're doing.
Okay, so residents can just check the website then, and they won't need signs posted as to when the street will be swept, and they will know.
They will know.
Thank
There's
you.
a calendar posted with the dates of the month, and it'll outline odd numbers,
That's
even
very
numbers, et
helpful.
cetera.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President,
There you
Commissioner.
go.
question. Would this be appropriate for Code Red, just to let everyone know? Is this to get the word out to make sure that there is even awareness, so that if there is a question of which week or which side of the street, is that, how would that be an excessive use? I mean, I think it's a useful thing because everyone's going to have street sweeping. So the question, instead of having them call and say, is it my week, until they get used to it, at least give them a baseline start.
yeah, I think that I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I think we can utilize Code Red for that purpose. Do you have any idea, Rob? Any idea in terms of cost associated with such an exercise, or?
I don't, we use seconds, we use minutes. So certainly I'll get with the Public Works Director and craft a brief message.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Nate. Okay, Health and Sanitation, Commissioner Barcheck.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next yard waste pickup for residents will be conducted by Penn Waste on Saturday, September 16th. Once again, yard waste will be picked up by Penn Waste twice in the month of October. The dates are Saturday, October 7th and Saturday, October 21st. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
quickly on this point, one of my residents brought this to my attention. You made reference, Commissioner Robarczyk, to two pickups in October, and that's traditionally what it had been. We had two pickups in, I believe, April and two in October, but we have more now.
Yes, I announced last month there were 2 in September.
Okay.
And then there's 2 in May, I believe,
May.
as well.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we've added a few months where there are two, in addition to what we regularly had. Was that? I don't remember that coming. Did that come about with the new municipal solid waste contract, or?
That was several years ago. We negotiated that with Penn Waste at the health, on the
Okay.
health board committee
Okay.
level. We had gotten a lot of requests for additional pickups, and we were able to negotiate additional dates with Penn Waste.
Okay, and people can find that on the website also. So thank you, Commissioner. I'm just missed it. I apologize.
It's all right.
Thank you.
Do you have any clarifications there?
Yeah, I do. The two pickups this September, like now? Or does that start next year?
No, it's been going on for a couple years. Yeah. So it's the 16th, which is this Saturday, and it was whatever date
It was
the
also
first
the-
Saturday
Yeah, the
was.
second, I believe.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And some folks in my area were caught off guard with the first Saturday pickup, and did a poor job of explaining it, I
The calendar that Penn
think.
Waste sends out every year too with the bills. They
Yeah.
send a calendar and it has blocked off on it when the yard
Okay.
waste pickup, Christmas tree, and all that good stuff.
And their,
so-
yeah, and their link
And
was,
it's on their website.
yeah, their link was accurate too, so,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, there was some discrepancy, I think, as you had pointed out on our webpage. I think we've remedied that issue
I think
at this
the-
point, but
Yeah, something was on either the webpage or what was posted or published in the newsletter.
okay.
I think there was some discrepancy, but thank you. Thanks for working to get that
No
corrected.
Okay. Thank you. Administration personnel, Commissioner Napper?
No report, sir.
Thank you. Police, Commissioner Engel?
No report.
Thank you. Fire and EMS, Commissioner Fleming?
Yes, Mr. President, I would just like to report briefly that we were honored to have several members of the Rescue Fire Company who were deployed to Florida in advance of Hurricane Irma as part of Pennsylvania Task Force 1. And those members were George Drees, who was the rescue team manager, Sean Drees, a rescue specialist, and Greg Rogalski, a structural specialist. So, it's good to know that we have, people serving this township who are just so highly thought of and part of a task force that can be deployed elsewhere and help those in need. So we're very, very fortunate to have those three and others in that capacity, living here, working here, and working on behalf of our citizens. So just wanted to share that. That concludes my report.
Great. Thank you very much. Recreation, Commissioner Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. President. The township recently received a DCED grant in the amount of $29,416 for planning and design of trails on the Logan Farm Park site. Phase 1 of the trail system is partially completed. The township also received grant monies in the amount of $87,500 from Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. This is one half of a $175,000 grant from DCNR for park renovations and playground equipment at Veterans Park. The Recreation Department will be offering programs for children, adults, and seniors this fall and winter. Please visit the township website for additional information. Thanks, Bob Reichert. That concludes my report.
Yes, you're the best commissioner. Okay. Did you have something, Mr. Kratzer?
no,
Okay.
nothing there.
Probably wise. Planning and Zoning, Commissioner Rothrock?
No report, Mr. President.
Gotcha. Okay, bids and agreements, Vartan Group, fourth addendum to access agreement. Who wants to take this one? Mr. Foreman?
Many years ago now, when the Maplewood apartments or townhouses were built, there was an agreement with the owner of that property and the Bonarotti Trust that a access road from Elmwood would be built, which would go across the parcel of land and connect with Progress Avenue. That agreement required that the road be built no later than the end of this year. It was extended one time and now requires the end of this year. We've been asked to extend again, basically to allow the tract at Progress and Lingostown Road, which is going to be developed in the next year, to allow this road to be built as part of that development and to be sited within that land development plan. So good planning would dictate that we grant the extension so we can do this as part of a orderly building project.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2 is something Mr. Rothrock referred to earlier. A contract with H.L. Bowman, actually payment due, administration, building and repairs, proposal agreement. I don't know if anybody wishes to comment on that, but
I don't, other than if there's any questions concerning the scope of the work, or if you feel that.
the project is over, right?
No, the project has not been done yet.
Okay.
No, so the
emergency's
work
been-
was.
The emergency's
It's been dealt with.
Yes.
It's been
Yeah.
contained to a certain extent, but this is relating to a fix of the ultimate problem.
So the amount that we were looking at in our packet, that was for the fix, or is that for this here?
That's for the fix. So
That's for the
that work is, the scope that's in your packet has not been completed. That work has not been completed. So again, just to go over it, the proposed scope involves relocation of the HVAC unit onto the roof. Part of the problem is caused by their sinking of a slab outside of this room, actually. That's put pressure on the sanitary sewer lateral, which has caused a sag in the pipe. So part of the scope is to locate that HVAC unit onto the roof, consistent with what we have been doing. I think the township has incrementally over a number of years been transitioning from ground-mounted HVAC units to roof-mounted HVAC units to demolish the concrete slab. So once they remove it from the slab, they'll remove the concrete slab. They'll excavate the existing sanitary sewer line. They'll make the repair to that existing sanitary sewer line, and then they'll grade it, refill it, and seed the area. So again, the quoted price is $7,991. The work is not subject to bidding requirements, as I had noted in the information that was provided to the board. Despite that, we did request a comparative quote. There was a comparative quote received. The quote that you have before you is the low of the two quotes. So our recommendation would be for the board to authorize this work to proceed.
It's also a firm that we have some history with and some good success, or some.
Yeah, I mean, again, part of the HVAC unit component of the project, they are our existing HVAC unit contractor that we utilize for purposes of preventative maintenance. So they're familiar with our system and familiar with what needs to be done as it relates to the condition. So.
I make a motion, we approve the agreement.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. HRG, authorization to release Veterans Park Playground and Restrooms Improvements Project bid.
Is it to release funds, or is that what? Or?
It's to release a bid. And
bid,
Bob, if you would come up, perhaps you could just, again, just kind of go over the general nature of the project and thank you.
This is the Veterans Park, basically a playground, but also renovation to our 2 restrooms and bringing the current area up to ADA standards. So what we're asking for is permission to put this out for bid. As you see, there's a number there. That's an estimated number. Obviously, we're hoping for lower bids than those numbers.
Me too.
Otherwise, it's going to be a heck of a cookie sale. So, any other questions? It's relatively simple in front of you, I think. Okay.
So I make a motion to authorize the release of Veteran Park Playground and Restaurant Improvement Project bid.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, ordinances, resolutions, et cetera. Ordinance 17-14.
Mr. President,
You missed a change.
there was
Oh,
a.
I missed one.
You did it intentionally, and we knew you were coming back to it.
Okay, change order. All right, change order number 4, Uptown Drainage and Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project, revising substantial and final completion dates. Mr. Rubik?
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, this change order number 4 for the Uptown Drainage and Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project is before you this evening. It merely changes the dates of substantial completion to reflect some of the delays that have been experienced related to the utility conflicts with water and gas and some electric in that area. Basically, there are 3 main areas of construction in the Uptown area. Area A1, which is Edwin Street, that has been extended by approximately a month. The estimated time for completion would be extended from August 31st, 18 to September 30th of 18. A2 is the Montrose Street area. That would be extended from September 15th of this year to October 15th of this year. And A3, Parkway Boulevard, would be extended from November 15th of this year to May of 2018. There is no increase or decrease in the amount of the change order, merely a change of the timing.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve change order number 4 from the Uptown Drainage and Sanitary Sewer Project.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comment?
Yes, Mr. President, just for a point of clarification for residents in that area, Mr. Grubik, you mentioned the Parkway. The completion date changed to May of 2018.
Correct.
But just to clarify, from what I understand, that's just the restoration of the lawns. The road should be substantially completed prior to the winter months?
Correct, Commissioner.
Okay.
The road would be, but the complete project, including the restoration of the lawn and landscaping areas, would have to wait until spring of next year.
So just the details?
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now into ordinances. Authorizing an intergovernmental cooperation agreement for the preparation and implementation of the Joint Pollution Reduction Plan.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comment?
Yes, I still have a concern about the language of that agreement in terms of what our financial responsibility would be there. The language says, "The costs associated with the implementation of the plan and the related BMPs shall be apportioned among the participants," that being the municipalities involved, based upon the percentage of load reduction attributed to each participant in the plan for each BMP. And then there's an additional couple of percent for the areas aren't covered by the municipalities involved. And I spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out what that means. And I've discussed it with Dave and Betsy, and I still am not clear. My calculations go anywhere from 26% of the cost to 56% of the cost. We're talking about an 8.2 million plus project. So I'm uncomfortable voting for something that seems that open-ended to me. So maybe Dave could explain.
Yeah, I mean, do you mind if Betsy comes up as well? And,
please.
We can,
No,
we
yeah.
can try to.
They've been struggling to answer my question to my satisfaction, so I appreciate their patience.
Good evening.
Go ahead, I can
So-
jump in.
I think some of the confusion is coming from the fact that it's saying that it's for each BMP, because the majority of the BMPs are in Susquehanna Township. The way that we've structured the payment is that we would do 26.8% of the of the joint planning area, which includes the 3 municipalities plus little sections of other municipalities. It's the urbanized area. Is 26.8% is within our township. So our township would be responsible for the cost to install a BMP at 26.8%, plus a 2% additional cost that we're all sharing equally. I think it's just the way that it's worded is kind of confusing, but it's not, we're not doing percentages of the BMPs that are within the township. We're doing percentages overall of the urbanized area is probably more accurate. So I don't know if that is going to provide any clarification or not.
We seemed pretty clear on this point several months ago. I mean, is it apportioned based upon the geography that the watershed is in?
Well, it's a portion based on the pollution load reduction that we're required to meet. Which
Right.
is
So
And that standard is set by the EPA, DEP, et cetera.
Well, it's based on the baseline sediment load in each of the respective jurisdictions. So in terms of the percentages of reduction are set by the program. So there's
Right.
goals, there's required goals in terms of sediment reduction.
As identified
But-
by the EPA, correct?
Both EPA and
DEP.
DEP.
Okay.
That is correct. That is correct, yes.
If I may also, there's approximately 20,000 feet of stream length within the township that are affected. there are 13 areas in which BMPs and other improvements would be installed, and the estimated reduction is about 2.287 million pounds. So that's a significant decrease related to. But as Betsy said, it's the 26.8% is really something that is currently the estimate for which the township would be responsible.
So if I had my choice, I would pay 26.8% rather than 56%.
Yeah, if that's what it turns out to be, that's a good deal for us. I wouldn't argue that at all. But I'm just not sure that's how it's defined.
And,
in the agreement.
we have all, in our discussions with CRW and Lower Paxton Township and all of our meetings, everyone has agreed.
I was going to say, this has been agreed to.
Yeah. The way that it's worded, I think he's uncomfortable with, but to us, I think it makes sense. So I think it's more of like just the way the sentence structure is that's kind of making it confusing, but. Because the agreement itself is for the joint planning area. It's not just for Paxton Creek. It's for the whole overall area. So in the plan on page 19 of the new one, which we just got today, so none of you guys have seen it, it breaks it, but it was in the old one as well. It breaks it down that each municipality has a certain percentage of watershed, and the base load is based on that percentage of watershed, and that's for the overall joint planning area. If you were looking at just Paxton Creek, for the TMDL, we have a different percentage, but we're basing it on the overall agreement is based on the overall plan. So it includes the PRPs, the Chesapeake Bay Pollution Reduction Plan, and the TMDL plan.
So it's everything in total.
Correct, percentage-wise.
Do we have a motion in a second?
That's not the language of the agreement. The agreement could say it's based on the percentage of watershed, as on table such and so on page 19, which would be very clear that it says it's based on the percentage of load reduction attributed to each participant, which I don't know if that means in our township or what attributed each participant means, or for each BMP. I don't know what that, I'm trying to figure out what we're going to end up being responsible for.
Well, the agreement is just between those three municipalities. So it would be those three municipalities that are agreeing on the financing plan. So it wouldn't be any other, no one else is part of the agreement. So it would be those three municipalities. So even if we split it evenly, the most that we would be paying would be, what,
33.3%.
But the pollutant load is referenced in the plan, which is what the agreement is based on. So I don't know how to clarify it any other way.
So you're saying you have documented data showing what the degree of our pollutants, what we're responsible for?
Correct, it's
Correct,
in the plan.
Right, that's what.
Yeah.
Those percentages are a reflection of the baseline sediment loads that
So we're
that have been attributed
responsible
to.
Sorry.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
that's the base load. So
Right.
we have a base load, and then we're going to apply a percentage reduction to that base load. So our number in terms of the base load is 26.8% of the total existing sediment load that's being contributed to the joint planning area.
Right.
So when you take that consistent percentage of reduction and you apply it to the baseline percentages are essentially what represents the contributions from a financial perspective.
So we're basically agreeing to contribute what it costs to clean up our portion of that pollution, if you will.
Correct, of the joint planning area.
Correct, because we all have a universal reduction requirement. But we don't all have consistent baselines. The baselines are the basis for determining how the load reductions are attributed.
Yeah, everybody's at 35% reduction of whatever they have right now.
Correct,
Mm-hmm.
correct.
Betsy, you said there's an additional 2% as well. Could you explain that?
Yeah, there's a load contributing land outside of the joint planning area, so that includes a small portion of Middle Paxton Township.
Pembroke Borough,
Pembroke Borough,
Swatara
and-
Township.
yeah. So because they're just small sections, instead of including all of them into the plan, what we agreed to do was split that 6% evenly between each three of the entities, which is the second part of that 6B. It talks about a portion of the percentage of load reductions outside the municipal boundaries equally. So.
Thank you.
I mean, I think the other thing that's important to note is that this is a planning document that needs to be submitted as part of a permit application. So some of this is not going to be quantifiable at this point because we don't know whether it's an acceptable approach. I mean, we believe, based on our professionals that are providing consultation to us and have gone through similar exercises with other clients. But even when we're talking about cost at this point, I mean, the $8 million or the $8.2 million of cost is based on opinions of probable cost. They're not actual cost. I mean, so we could end up with 28.8% of $6 million. We could end up with 28.8% of $12 million, depending on what the environment is. And again, there's an external regulatory agency, to Commissioner Fleming's point, that's going to review the acceptability of the proposed approach. So I agree with Commissioner Rothrock. It is somewhat unsettling that you're making a decision like this, but it seems to be the nature of the process. And I think all on the Board of Commissioners recognize that as we've talked about in the past, that some of these obligations, through this permit cycle, are transitioning from what were largely planning-based administrative obligations to very real financial obligations for these local municipalities. And that's why you're hearing these discussions, wide and far in terms of, how are we going to meet these obligations? How are we going to fund these obligations? What do we have in terms of predictable reoccurring revenue streams to fund these obligations? So yes, it is somewhat unsettling, for the 9 of you to be placed in this position, but it's again the position that you've been placed in, and again, to Commissioner Fleming's point, it's a position that you're mandated to be placed in.
Well, the other thing is, we have to do this tonight. It's due tomorrow.
That is correct, yes.
That is correct.
It is correct. Betsy had referenced, just for some comfort level, Betsy had referenced a document that was released today. Largely, that document is substantially or substantively comparable to the document that you had in preparation for this. HRG, as the lead consultant in land studies, have refined the document based on public comment and public feedback that has been received, as well as feedback from the clients, from the municipal entities that are having them do this work. So, again, just rest assured that the document is from a substantive standpoint is almost identical to what you have before you.
Correct.
Okay. Well, we do have a motion on the floor, and it has been seconded, and it is due tomorrow. Welcome to democracy. Is there any other comment before we take a vote on this?
Well, I think I might understand it from the standpoint that we have this certain load, we all have to reduce it 35%. Our load is 28%, so.
Correct. If you focus on the baseline and recognize that there are differences in the baseline, but there are universal.
Think at it, but I'm getting there.
Again, it's not an insignificant. I mean, I understand exactly what you're concerned with. It is not an insignificant commitment, and it's one that we're going to have long discussions about as to how we're going to meet our obligations. So.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you, Betsy.
Sorry.
No, thank you, Rocky. Don't stop asking questions, please.
Yep.
All right, 17-15, ordinance amending fire escrow requirements.
So again, we talked about this when you had authorized the notice of intent to adopt to be advertised. This is largely amending the ordinance to reflect current state statute. Again, if you recall, the township had adopted an ordinance in the early 90s, I believe, but then there was a subsequent amendment to the state statute, and it appears as though the township's provisions were not updated at that point. So we're just simply reconciling those differences.
Move to adopt.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Jump ball. Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 17R11, this is a resolution discharging all liability under bond from Arts Insurance Company to Susquehanna Township. Mr. Foreman?
You'll recall that the Maplewood complex, there were various improvements which were not completed during construction. We had a bond that guaranteed that the improvements would be done. We filed suit to enforce the bond. At that point, the bonding company put some pressure on the contractor, and the contractor came in and finished the project. Just like through normal construction projects, you periodically will reduce the bond. So this bond now is completely performed, all the work is finished. So in settlement of the claim, they're asking that we pass this resolution indicating we're releasing the bond because we had filed suit.
I'll make that motion, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 17R12, supporting a grant application of the Pennsylvania Walkworks program.
Yeah, so this is a funding application that the township is looking at submitting. Again, the funding request is for $10,000. What we're doing is, as the board is aware, we've had discussions about updating or creating a new Susquehanna Township comprehensive plan. And as you recall, we had received funding through Tri-County Planning in the amount of $40,000 for that. The estimated cost of that project is, and we haven't issued RFPs at this point, but the estimated cost is anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000. So in the interest of trying to assemble the funding parts, part of the plan would have addressed issues related to pedestrian orientation, issues related to complete streets, again, accommodating all users of roadways, pedestrians, vehicular, bicyclists, and those sorts of things. So the application essentially relates to the comprehensive plan, but is addressing a specific aspect of that comprehensive plan, which is a commitment to adopt complete street policies or consider complete street policies as we're going through the development of the strategic plan. So again, the resolution is required as part of the application process.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comment?
I have a quick question, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Manager Kratzer, is this something where we would look to redevelop what's existing, or is this for projects going forward? We would kind of go with this, the standard for development in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we're not obviously going to be in a position to retrofit all of our streets, but it would relate to both retrofitting as well as the creation of new guidelines to inform how people are developing and building streets within our community.
Perfect. I think it's a great program. Well done.
So the last part, just to kind of complete this, the last part is you had previously authorized submission of a municipal assistance program grant through DCD. There we're requesting, I think, $50,000 of funding. So between these three funding sources, there's the potential to cover all of our costs related to the update of the plan.
Great.
So did he just ask this question? So do we have an update in mind, or this is just, I guess that's half of my question. The other half of my question is, do we have a comprehensive plan?
We do have a comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan was adopted in 2000, so the comprehensive plan is quite dated. and the year 2000. So it's 17 years old at this point. Comprehensive plans in terms of what they look like, what they feel like, what they embody today are substantially different than what they were back in 2000. So we're looking at
Updating the plan.
updating it, but it's really because of that length of time and changes in practice, it's likely going to be an entirely new plan.
Yeah. Makeover.
And this is relevant, this grant.
Yeah, so again, we're thinking that plan, based on our preliminary conversations, is going to be anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000 for a consultant to develop that plan. We had already received $40,000 through Tri-County Planning to fund that effort. This is $10,000, and then we have a $50,000 municipal assistance program grant that has been submitted. So between those three funding sources, our hope is that the entirety of the project will be funded through external sources. So,
you feeling good?
I don't know. I don't know if that left me with a little bit more questions, but I recall. Who is that?
That's Mike Schumer.
But I recall when we had for the recreation plan, but that was pretty costly. Yeah, that plan was pretty costly. So, yeah, I do recall that.
Correct.
So this isn't for a project in particular. This is to help fund our comprehensive plan.
correct, and because this is a walkability program, one of the things that they said would be eligible would be complete streets. So one of the likely aspects that will be discussed through a comprehensive plan will relate to things like street design, pedestrian orientation, pedestrian connectivity. So we'll just simply weave those, what are typical parts of comprehensive plans into the planning exercise.
You got my eye.
So-
Thank you.
That makes you, he kept going on.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Well done.
Right, it had to be comprehensive, yes.
All right, I think it's been moved and seconded. Okay. Any other comment?
No.
Yeah, here we go. He says no.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was just going to briefly say that, when we were pushing for the sidewalk on Union Deposit Road, I had a conversation with the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission Director, Tim Reardon. And one thing he says, what we really need is you really need a comprehensive plan, not just to consider one street and one area, but the whole. And so I'm glad to hear this is something that we're working towards and something that certainly.
Yeah, I mean,
helpful.
you, as you know, as board members, I'm sure are approached by folks that have different ideas as it relates to zoning of properties, zoning of corridors and things of that nature. You're exactly correct, Commissioner. It's important that they're looked at comprehensively.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Unfinished business. Do we have any?
Yeah, we do not.
Moving on to reports. Mr. Kratzer?
We have a traffic study for Public Safety Director Martin to present.
Thank you, sir. Traffic study for North 6th Street and Hurlock Street. Essentially, we had received complaints of motorists who were exiting from Hurlock onto North 6th Street, especially turning north. There's parking to the left there that was causing a real sight distance issue. I want to commend Officer Doyle. He did a great traffic study here. He was sure to make contact with the business owners down there because there would be an impact with the prohibition, and they were on board. So my recommendation is to replace the no parking sign on Hurlock Street because it has faded, repaint the yellow curbing at the corners of the intersection, and extend what is already there, the no parking zone, on the west side of North 6th Street from Hurlock north to the southern entrance of 3408 North 6th Street, which is exactly 131 feet and 9 inches, and post the appropriate signs. And if you've ever pulled out from there, it's tough. This has been needed for a while. This is a good improvement. Yeah.
Move
So
to
has my-
approve the chief's recommendation.
Mr. President, the first two items, the no parking sign and the repainting the curbing, can be adopted by the board if it wishes. The third item will require a drafting an ordinance and a notice of intent. So if you would authorize that for the third item.
I'll make a motion to adopt the notice of intent.
So moved.
So we have three motions on the
Oh,
floor.
I'm sorry.
Second. You
second.
can
Sorry.
made one. You made one. You made one.
I meant to say second.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, so your motion was
To approve the first two
first two
that the
items
chief
that
talked
can be
about.
done without advertising.
Second.
And an ordinance.
And you don't think you have a second on that yet?
No, there's no second on it.
Okay, why second?
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't think we needed to make a motion or make an ordinance because we were replacing an existing sign and repainting the curb that was already painted. So
Yeah,
that's why
those are maintenance items. I
they
mean, we would have,
didn't- That's why I moved to approve the other thing.
Okay.
When the solicitor explained it, I assumed that we didn't need to.
Okay.
That's why.
Well,
I wasn't trying
belts and
to.
suspenders. No, that's okay.
So we've got them.
So now you move the other thing.
This is authorizing the drafting of an amendment
I'll make a motion to authorize
and
the
the
draft.
advertising of the notice of
The
intent.
amendment of the parking to
Okay.
extend it to the 131.
And I'll second.
9 inches. All right, and it's been moved and seconded. Any comment?
Yes, Chief, thank you for your work on this. It was a very comprehensive study. I appreciate, and I saw that there were several accidents that you have documented at that
Yes.
site, so it is much needed. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Engineer, we're good with you, right?
We have our report in your packets. Commissioners, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Mr. Foreman?
I don't have anything to bring to the board tonight, thank you.
All right, thank you. Emergency Management, Commissioner Fleming.
No report?
You good? Okay. School Board?
No report?
There you go. Authority, Commissioner Sanderson.
No report.
All right. Indian Wheels, Commissioner Barczyk.
No report, thank you. I do have a brief shade tree report.
Okay.
Just regarding the planting of trees in the fall, many experts claim that planting trees in the fall is better. As you know, the township does the fall shade tree planting. That's in particular for the deciduous trees, of course, the ones that lose their leaves. They can make new roots without having to feed the leaves, and they grow best in the cold soil. However, it's recommended that if you were going to plant evergreen trees, that you wait until spring to do that. The spring weather, when the ground is not frozen, is much better for those trees. So just a note. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Thank you. All right, Communications, Commissioner Pine.
Yes, Mr. President, the township newsletter is in print and should be in homes next week. Kudos to Recreation Director Bob Reichert, who seems to be the man of the night tonight.
Every night.
Yeah, well, projecting forward, we're talking about, Bob has explored, or is exploring the possibility of actually having the newsletter printed free of cost, and all we would have to pay is mailing through a different firm that would do this by way of advertising. And so I'm encouraged by that and look forward to our next newsletter hopefully being less expensive.
Very good.
That's about all. Thank you, Mr. President.
And Bob, I hate to put you on the spot, but it looks like we fixed that mailing postal route issue.
I believe so.
Okay.
Proof will be in the.
Fingers crossed.
Right.
Right.
I'm hoping.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. New business, Susquehanna Township Design Review Committee.
Mr. President, just as a matter of background, when we adopted the traditional, and please correct me, Manager Kratzer, if I get any of this wrong. When we adopted the traditional neighborhood development as a zoning district in our zoning ordinance, part of that was the establishment of a design review committee. And so I would like to make a motion to appoint members of that committee. I move to appoint Gary Rothrock as the primary representative from the Board of Commissioners, Jody Robarczyk is the alternate representative from the Board of Commissioners. Frank Klebnico, who currently serves as the Planning Commission Chair. Betsy Logan. And Mike Rohrer to serve on the Susquehanna Township Design Review Committee. And I move to appoint, do we do one at a time? Solicitor Foreman, or, okay. And I would also move to appoint Thomas Committa Associates to serve as the planning consultant to the Susquehanna Township Design Review Committee.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Notice of intent application, NPDES permit.
Oh, more fun.
So hopefully this will be the last you see of this for a little while. This is the actual application that we're submitting tomorrow as part of our NPDES permit. So it's just for your information to review. It's pretty simple. It just explains the outfalls and where the impaired streams and
More watershed fun.
I did not provide the 99 maps that go along with it.
I was going to say, I need maps.
I have them. You can stop by
Okay,
my
all
office.
right. Wow.
So
I'll take
if anybody
you up on
has
that.
any questions on that.
Okay. Well, thank
I
you.
don't think you need a motion or anything. Do they?
So there's no action required.
Yeah, I mean, the board could authorize its submission. I mean, it is a, that would be fine.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Done and done.
With love. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Betsy. Commissioner comments? Anybody wish to comment? Commissioner Engel? No. Okay.
I was going to say, that would be a surprise. Really?
All right, who wants to pay bills?
Mr. President. Mr. President, I move to adopt the report of bills paid in the amount of $419,759.84, a paltry sum considering past months'
A light
payments.
month,
It's
yeah.
a light month.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Moved and seconded.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Yep.
We're out of here.